Alright boys, here we go. This is round 5 of the NEPG National Enduro Series in Crossfork, Pennsylvania. This is the Rattlesnake Enduro. Everybody talked about the grass track being this awesome thing, and they ran the KTM 2020 demo day on there all day long. I don't like grass tracks, and I'm sure you're going to see a billion videos of everybody loving the grass track. I'm not that guy, so I'm only putting a short clip in it. We were on row 16. It turned out to be a really good day. It was actually kind of dry in the grass, and then in the woods there was just enough moisture to be really tacky and provide a lot of grip, but the terrain in Pennsylvania is something I'm not totally used to. So it kind of, there's a lot of rock, but it's this like flat kind of, I don't know if it's shale or what it is, but it provided a lot of weird grip instances where you would have problems. You know, you come into a corner and there'd be this like almost a slab's worth of this flat rock, and you'd kind of slide out on it. But it was a great day overall. A little slick, little tack, you know, everything, and it held up really well. The track was great. Pennsylvania's probably my favorite state so far to race in. If the weather wasn't so terrible, I might even consider moving there. This is test 1. Like I said about that KTM demo, they ran this portion of the test in the KTM demo, so you can see it's kind of beat up. It looks like a GNCC track, except it, you know, no four-wheelers have run through it. And you break out of that wide stuff where everybody had run, and this is the stuff that they hadn't been in yet. You can see how kind of pristine, and it was just like a black line through this green underbrush all day long. The first test was super short. It was like 3.5 miles, so it was over really fast. It was a grass track into a set of woods, and then back into another grass track, which both of them I'm cutting short. The grass tracks are interesting. I don't like them, so I don't ever really practice them or have anywhere to practice them. So it's just one of those things I kind of ignore. The single track was incredible. It was really tight, really technical, but it was had really good flow. And it was a lot of fun to ride this course all day long. We had scoped out this section watching some of the demo the day before, so I got a good line here. It was straight across this main line into the valley of face slappers. You can see where I shoot across straight here, and it's just slapper, slapper, slapper into a hard right. It was a good line. It made up for a lot of time in that little bit of section, but that's pretty much the end of section 1. It was just, you know, grass track, a little bit of woods, and then back out into the grass track. I was kind of bummed out initially because the entire course length was not super long. The Pro and A test that they usually have for test 6 was actually in the middle, and because it was a Pro and A test, they had run the test shorter length of time for a harder section. So the longest section of the day was actually the test that we got to skip, and most people who were, I don't think anybody in my row or anybody in my class of 33 in 30B, I don't think anybody ran test 4, and some of the pro guys were barely making it out in time to make it to test 5, which really showed how difficult it was. And from the couple guys I know who ran it, they said it was really, really hard, like a lot of big rocks and slick and just, you know, hard trail. This guy you keep seeing in front of me on the yellow Beta is Brantley Updegraft. He's was the class leader for this race, and me and him just happened to end up on the same line, which was cool. I got to see where I need to improve, and could tell that he was a little faster and a little more consistent than me, which, you know, it showed throughout the day. I could stay with him for the most part, but if I made a mistake or if I had some kind of bobble, then it would show and he would walk away. I found out later on that I ended up having a crash in test 4 and injured my hand. And I thought that was it was causing me to have these little errors. And I thought it was, you know, maybe my hand or just jitters from crashing, but it turned out that my suspension was actually binding. So I wonder if I had noticed that earlier, if maybe I wouldn't have been having so many issues with, you know, just randomly dropping my bike or about blowing corners and stuff. You can see just how cool this trail is. It goes from, you know, pine to, it's like kind of high altitude pine where there's not a lot of under. This fern and low brush stuff was there everywhere, and then the trail was just this, you know, black ribbon that you chased all the way through the woods. The really tight single track was really tight, and I like that kind of stuff, but even in some sections it was like you couldn't really keep any flow. It was just, you know, pick a point, go to it, turn, pick a point, go to it, and turn. Brantley, that's still him in front of me, are pretty close to in speed, and it really does make for a fun race. I wish I would have had a better showing of it, because it feels like we could have more back and forth throughout the race than we did, because I kept making these little mistakes because of my suspension or whatever it was. So this section, I'm leaving this in here because I wanted to show something. People ask about enduros and how you pass, and it's all the single track. So that head bob was to notify the guy behind me that I heard him. And then you see I just slide out of the way. He passes me, and I keep moving. There was almost no time loss, just slide out of the way. And that's what it should be for a pass in these kind of things. You'll see up here that Brantley does the same thing. He gets caught, he slides over, the faster rider keeps going, and then Brantley just gets back on it like he should. And nobody loses any time, there's no hard feelings, and no danger of that at all. It's just a well-executed enduro pass. And I just wanted to leave that in there because I keep seeing these arguments about how you should pass and the safety of passing and all that good stuff. And I want to show that there is a way to do it safely and effectively where everybody comes out clean on it. This is test 3. You can see it's just, like I said, we were on top of like a plateau if you looked at it geographically, and then there was this really cool, like just low brush fern that you rode around the whole time. And you'd think, wow, that looks like some crazy, it's wide open, why not hotline? Well, because the ferns really hide everything very well. There are 2 or 3 times I tried to hotline through something, would just slam into there's a lot of rocks, and there's roots, and there's down trees, and they're all hidden by that fern that you can't see. So launching into the ferns to hotline was really a prayer and hope that your ability to react in time was accurate and very well honed, because sometimes you would catch some little down tree and it'd just launch you off your bike, or you'd cross ride or something like that, and it wouldn't pay off. Hotline's supposed to save you time, not cost you more time. So if you had to weigh the differences, if you were going to try and hotline, or maybe the actual line of the trail was faster because you could see where you needed to go and carry a little bit more speed. I'm really impressed with the NEPG organization as a whole because of how well it's run. Dude, they never stop running, or they never go late. You always go on time. And it's like at Sumter every year, it's like 750 people. That's a lot of people to have to corral and get everyone get in line, and everybody takes off on time. And they just do it all the time. It really makes for the enjoyable kind of racing where you're going to take off when you should take off, and everything's going to go pretty well. It's a lot of respect to the organization to be able to run something this big, this well. And it really is enticing to run the whole series again next year, just because of how interesting the venues are and how well run the whole organization really is. The only killer is the travel, man. This is a 12-hour drive for us, up and 9 hours back. The next race is 6 hours, and then the race after that's 11 hours. So it's a big commitment to time, but if you can do it, or you have one of these that comes up close to you, I would say and recommend that you go do it. Hare scrambles are fun, but the courses near me are always kind of the same. This is a good way to get out and see some other parts of the country, or see some other kind of trail that you don't normally ride. And being tighter and more technical, it makes the riding more interesting and the racing more interesting, because you really get to show off your ability to adapt to a situation. And I feel like I've gotten faster significantly over this season, being my first season in 30B. than I ever did racing hare scrambles and doing the whole series, you know, like of Mid-East last year. So that's it. I just wanted to, it's a pretty quick hit for this video. I finished 7th in 30B. Now I'm 3rd overall for points. And we'll see you in Ohio in the end of August. Peace.
16 Alpha.